today we're talking love, marriage, and the law, part 2. Season 1, if you missed it, it's now streaming on
From
on our handles on now streaming on Coach Maisie and streaming on where did I even share it? Niger Family Law. Okay, good. So guys, you can go watch what we discussed last week. Today we'll be taking some more questions. A lot of people asked questions about divorce last week. You know, some people reached out to me in the course of the week. I hope that they will come here, and everyone who had a question for me, I always tell them, okay, come in the live on Wednesday and ask the question. So I hope they're here. But if they're not, we would, however, continue with some of the questions we already have on matters of law and love and marriage. Okay, somebody was telling me in the course of the week that it was quite a shocker to find out that there was such a thing as being sued for reneging on a promise to marry, you know, and a surprise, like, really? I said, yes, a lot of things are available out there that people don't know. Okay, so let's jump right into it, okay? And then we hope that those who come in, we hope they don't miss much. Okay, I'm even trying to, I didn't think of the particular question we stopped at last week, but let me just start with these ones that, you know, I shared with you earlier. Okay. Because what we do here at the Single and Ready Club, which is one of my organizations, is that we want to inspire young people towards meaningful relationships. And then not just to inspire them, but to teach them, to equip people. There's a lot of people out there getting into relationships today, tomorrow, and they don't know what they're doing. So they are transferring hurts from person to person, transferring trauma from person to person, you know, and we just feel like, man, let's help the few who would agree to embrace wisdom. Do you understand? So that's why we do all of these things we do every week, you know. And there's this question that came in. Severally, I've thought about questions people should ask while they're in the courting stage, conversations they should have, you know, before getting married. So someone asked me that, what are the legal concerns? Like, are there things you should look for legally? I mean, we always talk about values, we always talk about spirituality, we always talk about know your genotype, but are there legal concerns? Are there things people should know as per legally, maybe conversations they should have before they agree to get married to someone? So help us, please.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me again today.
Thank you.
Yeah. Legal things one should consider before getting married. An example of a legal concern would be if the person is married before. So we have a lot of people married before, and they have not dissolved that marriage. Maybe because of the cost of dissolution of marriage. Maybe because they just feel like nobody really cares about a marriage certificate. Maybe because, I mean, so there's so many reasons. Maybe they just feel like, I'm done with it, I'm done, I can move on. Again, how can one find out? It's not an easy task. It's not easy because our data system is not as it should be. It's not where it ought to be. So the person could have gotten married in Lagos, you know, and left his or her spouse, or rather, yes, his or her spouse, and then move to a different city in Nigeria and then get married, and nobody's really checking, you know. So again, you can ask questions. Again, social media can help you with past pictures. So your own due diligence would be, yes, pictures, information, mutual friends on social media. Again, they seem very basic, but they're really important. So you have cases where maybe he has had a child out of wedlock. You have no clue. Or maybe when you go through Facebook, you just find one random picture of a child, and then people are saying, bros, congratulations, sis, congratulations. And you're like, okay, right, okay. And then you keep digging deep. And then you're like, and then you maybe now, you know, ask and say, oh, do you have a child? This is like, no. Why do you ask? And I'm like, okay. I mean, you can just leave it hanging and then still make your findings. Somewhere, somehow, you might have a mutual friend thanks to Facebook. Somewhere, somehow. You just might know somebody that knows him. and then we'll find out and say, yes, it's true. I heard one time that he had a child, that the one girl was pregnant for him. So again, you can only do your best, and I hope your best is good enough,
Hmm.
because some people are very good at hiding stuff, and I don't know if I
Yeah.
can rely on information from the registry. Not really. But
Mhm.
again, it's good to find out. So word of mouth is important. And that's why for
Okay.
the South, they always go and do findings, which is very traditional to, I mean,
Yeah.
it's a culture known to the
Yeah,
Eastern.
exactly.
Yes, and I feel like some other cultures probably have the same pattern of same arrangement of going to find out, or what family does this person come from? How are they in their family? What do they do? Do they
Yeah.
sick? Do they have this kind of sickness? Again, because it's a lineage thing. It
Hmm.
might seem very
Yeah.
excessive and intrusive, but it can help. It can help with information.
Wow.
So yes,
Wow.
so, I mean the local way is still really good to find out his parents, find out a cousin that might want to spill the gist. I don't bump picking outside. Do okay. If they beat you, one, I don't
So,
beat your
so,
face
so,
like
so it means that it means there should be a lot of patience and taking it step by step in this thing, not just allowing your emotions to blow hot and you just pursue feelings and say make a bad first.
absolutely, absolutely. But again, so there is a very thin line with being patient, and if age is not on the side of either of the spouse, being patient might not be something that they might naturally want to do. I mean, oh, he's a good guy, he's a
Okay.
Christian, he goes to church. But age is not
Hmm.
my side, age is not on his side. Let's just get this done and over with.
Hmm.
And they get involved in
Hmm.
something that ideally they might have, ideally they might not have gotten involved in.
Yeah. Someone asked a question there. One of my ginger followers, Feblozo, she said, "Are you married to someone? Is someone married to you?" So, is there any chance that somebody can be married that they don't know? And it's not spiritual husband, that's spiritual wife.
So the law does not recognize spiritual husband or spiritual wife. The law does not recognize juju. So
Okay.
are you married to someone? Is someone married to you? Is a very valid question, because
Okay.
cultures have something that you can be betrothed to somebody else. You know how they marry off
Mm,
when they're 16, or when they're 18,
yeah.
or they marry off some guys when they're really young. Again, culture and tradition differs. So you want to find
Mm-hmm.
out, you want to ask questions in that community. You will definitely know somebody that knows somebody. So let me give you an example. So let's say you're from Ekiti States as an example, and you want to marry maybe a Benin
Okay.
lady. You want to find
Okay.
out, okay, what school did she go to? Thanks to social media, because if our parents had social media back in the days, I'm sure they'd have streamlined
Hmm.
their search. So again, you
Yeah.
definitely have a mutual friend. Check, as in, like, don't worry. As
Yeah.
There has to
Just
be one.
yeah. You'll find
Just find
someone. You'll find something.
you'll
Yeah.
find someone or something that might just have, the person might not have all the gist for you, but the person can say, okay, let me help you find
Mm-hmm.
out. Let me give you an example. So there was a lady in church, and she said, Adesso, I know you're in this department in church, and I know that you're really, really like a worker and you've been there for so long. There's this guy that has been on my matter. I want you to find out. And I was like, I'm not in that department. But she was like, hey, you know people. And then I went snooping around. I was like, I'm just asking, no, there's somebody that I think is
Detective.
interested. I didn't want to make it seem like we're doing findings, but well, I just, and then people were saying, he's just there. He doesn't really talk. We don't really know him. He's very coded. So all the gist was the same. And I went back to her and I said, nobody really has any tea on this guy. So you might want to look elsewhere. But for church, nobody really has any gist. Like, you
Yeah,
understand?
that's the
It's
concern,
just really
really.
quiet. It's just, but that's a good step in the right direction, if you ask me. And for
Mm-hmm.
the ladies as well. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not just for the ladies to make findings. The guys too should actually ask questions and make findings.
Yeah. There's something that had been brought to the fore in the recent years, which is the issue of DNA testing,
Oh yeah.
for paternity of to obtain the paternity of a child.
Mm-hmm.
You discover that there are a number of ladies who have children already,
Mm-hmm.
and they don't want to let the partner know because they are scared that perhaps if I tell the man I already have a child, he's going to run away, and then so they keep it hidden until maybe there was a particular case where on the wedding day the man said he's not getting married again because the woman had like four children. And the
Wow.
guy didn't know. He was finding out on the wedding day, and the guy couldn't take it, man. Like, this is just too much, you know. And lady was there fainting, saying, "Oh my God, sorry, sorry," but come on, all right. So, so,
Indeed.
so,
Hmm.
yeah, so for cases like that, really, I think it's not only men who need to do some finding out. I think the guys also need to also find out, right? But that even lead me to the second question because this has somehow connected to it, which is the place of background checks. Okay, what do you think about carrying out background checks on someone, like to obtain all of this kind of information? Because basically, I think what you did, what the example you gave, that's already some kind of background check, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And I think there's nothing out of place in doing
No,
that.
no, there is nothing out of place. No, there is nothing
Some
out of
people are scared to do it. They say, go and find out. I say, no, I don't want you to look like I don't trust him.
You have to find out now. You have to, I mean, why not? Ah,
Yeah. And then someone tells you, just trust me. Don't ask questions. Don't go
no, no, no,
snooping
no.
around,
Why?
just
No, that's even
just
a red
trust me.
flag, man. Why shouldn't she ask or he? Why shouldn't she or he ask questions? No, I mean, very valid. Very valid.
Yeah. I tell people actually that if you're having a valid concern about someone, and then you're trying to ask about it, but the person is telling you, trust me, please do not trust. Uh-uh. Don't trust based on just a request to trust. Trust because you have found something to place that trust on. Trust is not a gift you donate to somebody. Do you
Absolutely.
understand? So you need to
You earn
find
it.
reason.
You
Do
earn
you
it. Yeah.
understand? The person needs to earn it. I see that a lot in this game, really. Especially among the guys, ladies asking, but what about this? I say, no, no, trust me, trust me. Trust you have now. You have something to hold on to.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and I think people need to know this that um, background checking is okay. It's okay to look up someone, check them, look for what the internet has about them.
Yes.
Look, just check, go online. Thank God for social media, really. Thank God for Google search. I mean, you'll be shocked the kind of things that would come up. So I encourage people to be free to to do your background check. Don't just jump in. Don't love up at once. Do you understand? And I always ask this question, like, what would you do if you're loving up someone and then the first day you paid a visit to their house, you opened the freezer and you saw someone's head inside the freezer?
Oh my God.
Come on. What, what will happen to that your feeling or that your love that you're loving?
I know it will quench straight.
If you disappear, it die. It will just disappear. Do you understand? But that shows that you see information can influence feeling.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So people should not allow feeling take the front row. Get information,
It's
you
normal for
know,
feelings to take the front row, but be guided.
be guided exactly.
Be guided.
Exactly. Because it's a matter of life, man. Okay. Somebody says, what if you now find something that you're not looking for?
Run, no.
Run, 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 run. That's the essence of the search. The question is, do you want to find that thing inside marriage? Do you want to
Exactly.
find it inside marriage? So, my dear, background check the fear you. No, 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 don't let it fear you. Don't let it fear you. Because at the end of the day, it's for your own good. It's you protecting your heart, protecting yourself from impending danger. Okay. Now, there are a number of questions that so hello. So what can I not ask the Holy Spirit?
You can
No,
ask the Holy
wow.
Spirit, He will reveal to you, but
Please,
also wisdom is
you can
comfortable and
ask.
direct. You can also,
Yes, you can ask the Holy Spirit to reveal to you. We thank you, Adisa, for that answer. And then wisdom is profitable to direct.
yes.
But you know what? You see, they always have one comeback for people when they bring spirituality into love conversation, right? I asked them, which other thing have you asked the Holy Spirit before that He told you? Which other conversation have you people had that you recognize His voice before matter of love?
Yes.
Because you see, when it comes to love, you start hearing all manner of voices in your head. You hear what exactly you want to hear,
Yes.
and you attribute it to God. You think about somebody for the whole day, you go to bed and you have a dream about them, and you say, God has finally spoken to me. I have my evidence. Meanwhile, it is yourself that have conjured you know, your emotions. And then even when you went to bed, your brain was just playing back the events of the day, all right, and generating a visual for you. You see? So for people who are saying, yeah, let me pray about it. If you don't already have a an understanding of how God speaks to you, how to recognize God's voice, don't use marriage to start practicing. Eh? That's why again we emphasize spiritual development. Learn, know God for yourself. Don't
Mm-hmm.
use marriage to go and start rehearsing how God used to speak. If not, you will hear exactly what you want to hear.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Um,
And it doesn't
let me
still
see if
mean
there's any
so.
other.
It doesn't still mean that. So, for instance, let's say you had the Holy Spirit and He says, "Oh, this is your guy. Get married to him." I mean,
Yeah.
so you still have to put in the work regardless. So, marriage is work.
Oh yes. Yeah.
It doesn't defeat the purpose of, oh, he's a match made in heaven. Oh, we're meant for each
Hmm.
other. I
Mhm.
mean, so temptation,
Mhm.
trials and tribulations will come, but
Oh
you
yes.
have to. The Holy Spirit will also give you the strength to withstand, the trials and tribulations as they come. So,
Yeah.
and you
With
have to put
wisdom
in the work.
also.
You have to put in the work. You
Mm-hmm.
have to put in the work. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like a 9 to 5 or more. It's like a 24 hour,
In
24/7
fact,
job.
it's 24 hours something. Yeah.
It's 24/7.
Yeah. All right. Someone said I had to do a background check. My family had to, let me see, let me read it. Yeah, before I got married, my family had to do a background check on my spouse and his family. And that's another thing that I want to talk about quickly before I take the next question. I want to ask you to speak about. You see, people don't really understand the nature of connection they have with their spouse's family when they get married. A number of people still think, I like you, you like me, we marry ourselves, and it's just two of us. But the law makes provision, or rather, acknowledges the place of in-laws and extended family, right?
Absolutely.
You
Yeah,
want to talk
absolutely.
about that a bit?
Yes. Okay, so the law, so if you take a look at the Marriage Under the Act, where I mentioned last week that you have to have representatives or witnesses who most likely should be relatives, maybe mother or father, uncle or auntie. Again, it shows you the importance of having people that are related to you or your spouse to be present.
Yeah,
Now, for
yeah.
Nigeria, we don't really have, because we have more culture than we have our common laws. In developed countries, you have a lot of grandparents' rights. Again, still pointing to family,
Mm-hmm.
extended family, because
Exactly. Extended family rights, yeah.
you can't wash it away. It's really important. And for a lot of divorce cases, so I find out that the reason why the marriage dissolves indefinitely is because the family dealt a hard blow. One side of the family dealt a hard blow on the couple, or they did nothing. So it's two-sided. It's
Mm,
either they were just very
yeah,
lukewarm about what was happening. So maybe the guy is beating the girl, and then the girl calls her in-laws and says, "I see what's going on." They're like, "No, my son cannot do something like that." Or the other way
oh
around.
no,
Maybe the wife is
yeah,
doing something, and then he calls her parents and saying, "No, my daughter cannot be doing." Ideally, because you're more mature parents, or rather, you're older people, so to say,
yeah,
you ought to call them to order and say, "Look, I mean, this is not supposed to be a walk in the park, but regardless of it, find a middle ground somewhere for the both of you." But you find out
yeah,
that in most divorce cases, in most separation issues that we have come across,
yeah.
um, one parent is not doing as he or she ought to. So they're either just laid back about it, lukewarm about it. Really don't, they're very indifferent, so to say. Like they're not even putting effort
Yeah.
to make the marriage work. Again, some families or some couples that are on the brink of dissolving the marriage, when families intervene, you find success rates in some of these families.
Wow.
You find success rates. So you might find reconciliation for a time being, and then maybe somewhere down the line they just organize themselves and then they're better again together. But when you now see some family members really indifferent about it, it's like, I beg, pack your things. And so again, the family is
Wow.
really important. It's very, very important. I was in court yesterday, and there was a lady that was giving her so it was a trial, and she was giving her own testimony
Okay.
of why she wants the dissolution of marriage. So the guy was beating her in
Okay.
this marriage, and
Wow.
she kept complaining to his mom is late, and so she kept complaining to her father-in-law, saying, "I see what happened, see the bruises." She was sending pictures and maybe videos of the bruises and all that. And he will insist and
Yeah.
saying his son is not capable of doing such. Then where did she get those injuries from?
What kind of talk
You
is
know,
that, man?
And even when they even call a meeting, so this is her testimony. So the guy did not show up, and he did not have a representation in court yesterday. So, but again, imagine if the father had called his son to say, "Where did you learn this type of behavior from? I don't want to hear this type of thing." So,
Yeah.
I mean, it could have sort of saved the marriage for maybe not for the long term, for a little while.
Yeah.
Salvage that
Yeah.
relationship. But well, that was not the case.
Mm-hmm.
And many relationships like that. So you find out that you find out the importance of extended family members in such marriages, even in death. So even in death, you
Yeah.
find lots of people saying, "Oh, when their spouse died, the family was like this and like that." So again, the family is very important. It's not just about the person you're getting married to. It's even more wonderful when the person you're getting married to, his family is on your side, and that's why people pray for amazing
Yeah.
candidates. Because again, it's not just about this person; it's about his family. It's coming from somewhere. He has people that ought to have his back or your back in the event he does
Yeah.
something. There's somebody to reach out to say, "See, come and warn your sister. I don't like this behavior."
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, the importance of
Or your
family
son. Yeah.
cannot be
Mm-hmm.
emphasized.
Yeah. So I think people also need to pay attention to the information about the family that you are getting married into. I think it's something that can be also key. And then not just for the sake of information about the family, but you also want to know how this person you're considering getting married to is handling that aspect or that information or that issue. So, for example, if it's a family where maybe it's a polygamous family, and then there's a lot of hatred among themselves and a lot of infighting, and they even get diabolic against each other and stuff like that. All right, now that's one important information. You're asking yourself, am I ready to play in this fight? Am I ready to get into these waters? You also want to know, what's the disposition of the person you're getting married to these things. How active are you inside? What's your stance,
Mm-hmm.
spiritually? Like, have you detached from some of these kind of things? Are you still in the mix? Because at the end of the day, this is what you're going to be dealing with when you fully
Absolutely.
get into that family.
Absolutely.
You
Yes.
see? Yeah. Yeah. So I think people need to also pay attention and ask questions about the family, not just I like you, you like me, or like ourselves. Because at the end of the day, it's beyond both of us, right? Now, you said something about an abusive partner being summoned to court and doesn't show up. So, in a case like that, where someone knows that my wife or my partner has filed, and I'm being summoned, but the person wants to frustrate the process, is there any bypass so that someone can still get justice, a life is saved, whether or not the abusing partner agrees to show up?
Yeah, so you have cases where either party doesn't show up. So let's say the woman institutes the matter and um, the man doesn't show up. It doesn't negate the fact
Okay.
that the matter would go on. The court's duty is to ensure that that person has been properly served. Served,
Served.
such
Okay.
as, so his last known address, a document has been delivered there. Now
Okay.
they also admit substituted service via WhatsApp, via DHL,
Oh, really?
their emails. Yes. So once the court is satisfied that this person in question has been duly notified, in all respects. Sometimes the people even
Yeah.
go as far as pasting it on the last known address of that person. So let's say he or she has moved out from that house. His neighbors or
At
her
least someone
neighbors
else will
would
see
know
it and
that,
call.
oh, see this letter against, make I call him, let me snap it and send it to him. So again, you know,
Mm-hmm.
those things exist. And where the court is satisfied that, okay, everything has been done to ensure that this person is put on notice that this matter is up in court against him, and he or she doesn't show up, the matter would commence.
Okay. Does that mean it will commence, like it will happen faster now, since there's nobody to counter and
In
anything,
some
to just
cases, it
proceed and
happens faster because sometimes midway the other spouse might show up.
oh
Yes, so that
wow.
happens. So, but where it is undefended or uncontested, it may being emphasis on may happen faster. So it depends on the court, depends on the state, depends on yes. So for again for courts in Lagos, many of them are usually overburdened with a lot of matters, and so a lot of people prefer to take divorce cases outside Lagos to places like Ota, Ibadan, Osun State, because the courts are
Oh
more,
wow.
or maybe their decks is much freer than the Lagos courts, and then um the result is very faster than you would have in Lagos State. Again,
Oh,
may,
wow.
because anything could happen, anything could go wrong. Um, but usually it doesn't stop the process. It might prolong the process a little. So all of that whole time when you expect that you should have just gone into trial and then commence the matter, because it's still saying we need to serve again. Give
Oh,
notice.
my.
Go and serve notice.
Yeah.
Substituted means
Yeah.
okay, go and serve. So I mean, so the court is trying to ensure that they've explored every means to reach out to this person, so that you don't wake up one day and say
Yeah.
you're never blindsided.
Oh, wow. Do people do that? They claim ignorance of the process.
I mean, you can, but when the court is satisfied that they have served you on every front possible, you can't claim. You can't
Yeah.
claim that only if you probably fell off the earth and then woke up from another side of Jupiter, because there's no other way. They served you via email, served you via WhatsApp, posted it at your last
Yeah.
request. I mean, come on, man.
Wow. Interesting stuff there. Interesting stuff. So you said something last week, how that when you're explaining the different kinds of marriages, the one that happens at the registry, the traditional one, someone is saying that if all they have is the traditional marriage, no document from the registry, no document from the customary court, um, and then now they want to dissolve that marriage, like they're tired, they're not doing it again, you know, do they still have to show up at the court to do an annulment or dissolution?
So not necessarily. Not necessarily. So the only reason why they might want to show up at the customary court is to get documentation as to the dissolution of that marriage. But where they feel like it's
Even
not
if
necessary.
even if you didn't get any documentation before
Yeah, so
when
even if
when the
you
marriage was
get
contracted?
documentation before, you have evidence that that marriage was contracted, e.g., pictures,
Okay,
videos, witnesses,
okay,
so all of those things have is enough fact and evidence before the court to say that you got married and then you want it to be dissolved. So yes, you can
okay,
actually go. So for a lot of people, they don't even need the certificates because they probably already have somebody in mind they want to get married to. So they just go and return the bride
okay.
price or do what's the customs, law and customs of that land or whoever or wherever they
On
got
that
married.
land requires.
Yes,
Yeah,
requires. And then once they're done with that, they probably go into another relationship or just pretend like they were never married.
yeah. And then you also said something last week that typically divorce takes time. I mean, you've also explained it today again because the court is trying to see that they have explored all avenues for reconciliation and stuff like that, you know. But how is it that people tell you that they're divorced last month and they are remarried next 2 months? Does it mean that it's possible to get married when your process has not even been concluded?
Are you shedding a celebrity?
Well, I didn't call no names.
It seems like
I didn't call no
again,
names.
it seems so. Again, there's a lot
Yeah.
of audio separation and audio divorce. A lot. Like
Okay.
I'm sure 80% of people that say, "Oh, we're separated." Most times, no paperwork has gone down. They're just not living together. They've just not been living.
They're just not living together, and they think they have moved on like that. Oh yeah, I can. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So they've just not been living together, and they just assume that but they've forgotten that there is still something. So the house has not completely collapsed. Something is still standing on
Okay.
the marriage under the act,
Yeah.
which they need to go and dissolve. So when you see people getting married, it's not really marriage, because let me explain. So for instance, Mr. A and Mr. and Mrs. A gets in term divorced, separated.
Sorry,
And
there was this example you kept using last week. Broom and Packer.
okay, Mr. Broom and Mrs. Packer. Okay. Mr. Broom and Mrs. Broom. Okay, Mr. Broom and Mrs. Broom.
Okay.
They get married and then they wake up one day and say, okay, it's like this marriage is no more working. We want to leave, want to go our separate ways. Fine, fantastic. And then maybe they've even commenced the process. So some people have commenced the process and they're really loving up again. That happens.
Ah.
Yeah, that happens because the person was always in the radar. That happens.
Hmm.
So in that process, when that is happening, they forget that they are still married. They're still married. Like the fact that it's in process of being dissolved. It's not dissolved yet.
It doesn't mean that it's dissolved yet.
It doesn't mean that it's dissolved yet, but we see all kinds of stuff. In fact, sometimes lawyers even advise that stay clear of anything that would show or implicate that, or give that
Yeah.
idea or notion that you're already moving on. Hold on. Maybe you can
Oh,
do this, but you're very
yeah.
coded about it. You shouldn't be public and out. And again, people make it seem like divorce is just something you just sign a document. It's not that. It's not. No, it's only prenuptial agreements and post-nups that you can sign, and maybe child custody. So
Okay.
the only things that you can do without going to trial or going through the entire court process is child maintenance, child custody, prenups,
Okay.
Nigerian country
Yeah.
prenups, post-nups. They're
But we don't
contracts.
do prenups in Nigeria, do we?
We do. Wealthy people do.
Really?
Wealthy people do.
Sorry, for the sake of those who don't know what prenups are, you want to explain what that prenuptial agreements are?
Okay, in a layman's term, prenups are sort of like an
Yeah.
arrangement before two people, man and woman, get married to protect, usually to protect one person. But I mean, so just to
Oh,
make sure
really?
that it's usually to protect
If
one
both
person.
of them have resources income.
Oh, great! So to protect either party, yes.
To
So
protect themselves, to protect their investment.
yes, to protect their investment, to protect all that they have. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that's the
Okay.
prenup. Then
So,
post-nup happens when they're already married and then they feel like maybe somewhere down the line this marriage might not. In the event that it happens, here are my terms. This is what I'm going out with. This is what you would go out with. This is what we will go out with.
oh,
If we have
wow.
the way to sell it and share the proceeds. Yes. So some people do that. Some people are mature enough to do that.
Hmm.
But it's not easy. I mean, so somebody reached out to me and said, I want to do a post-nup. I was shocked. I said, wow, in Nigeria, this is a
But if one
discovery.
party does the post-nup and the other is not game, like,
Exactly.
is
So
it
that was
valid?
my concern. When
Both
he
of them
reached
need to
out
be
and said, I
game.
want to do a post-nup, I said, is your wife on the same page? Because a post-nup cannot be
Exactly.
signed by you. You can wake up and want to do
Exactly.
a post-nup, but if she doesn't sign, it's not valid.
It's not
And
valid,
he
yeah.
kept insisting that no, we're on the same page, where I mean, we didn't go ahead with it, but maybe I was thinking, I don't know that woman will sign that post-nup. I don't know, because it will be under duress. Most times it's usually under
Oh,
duress.
yeah, most
You
times,
don't sign
yeah,
it, I'm not going to
yeah,
pay my
actually.
children's school fees or all those type of things. So
Yeah.
again, it's usually always the party with more to lose that comes up with those contracts. More to lose in the event of a dissolution of the marriage.
Now, let me remove it a little bit from the legal conversation and just share a little bit light on what marriage is so that people can understand. You see, so things like this further show how many people get into marriage without a proper understanding of what it should be. Okay, and for me, I will sing about this, I will shout it out, I will talk about it over and over and over and over and over again for as many as will listen. Typically, marriage is God's idea. Marriage is not the creation of any civilization or any government or any society or any, it is God's idea, and it means that there is a pattern that God has set, as a model or what it should be like. Now, some of those key things that people need to understand is that marriage is a covenant. It's not just an agreement. It's designed to be a covenant so that the only way out between these two lovers is death. That's why in the joining in the church, you hear the priest say, till death do you part. Do you understand? Because typically that is what a covenant entails. And also in the covenant, you share everything. Everything belongs to both of you. You no longer do this one is my own, no, this one is my own. No, it's for the both of you.
It's
Do you
not that
understand?
easy.
Now,
It's not that easy.
no, I'm teaching what it should be, so that people should know.
What it should be, not
Do you
what
understand?
it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not saying what is. I'm saying what it should be, so that people should know that now so they take designer mode, the one way they do, you know, be. Do you understand?
Owner's manual.
Now, typically, exactly. All right. So people need to understand that we share resources. Yes, I have all of these assets before I got married to you. You have all of these investments before you got married to me. But now that we're getting married, they should belong to us. I'm not saying you have to necessarily go change the documentation. If you can do that, I mean, that's good and fine. But I'm not saying you have to necessarily go through all that. All I'm just saying is that the orientation now is us. It's not my own, your own. Do you understand? This thing is dividing a lot of marriages today. It is causing unnecessary issues. Money matters, asset matters. Somebody has resources, but since no, I'm not going to bring it out because yeah, you should be the one to do this. And there should be family vision. People listen and listen to me good. The original intent is that both of you, what makes you bigger, what makes you stronger, is that unity. Do you understand? Is that oneness. That is what makes you bigger and stronger. All right. So people need to understand this so that when you're discussing with the person you want to get married to, and you guys start talking finance and all of stuff like that, you want to look out for their mindset. You want to look out for what they think. People have this concept of my money. I mean, you hear this a lot among the ladies, right? My money is my money, and then his money is our money. And I tell people that is only fine if that is what both of you agreed as a couple. Do you understand? If that's what both of you agree, the man says, forget about it. I'll take care of you, man. Like, keep your money, flex yourself. Don't worry. I'll spoil you, man. I'll take care of you, man. I used to tell my wife those days that one of my love languages is debit me, baby. Debit me, baby. Baby, I'm not saying debit. Debit me, yeah? You understand? Right? So if you are like that and you don't want her to bother herself about it, I mean that's awesome. That's what both of you agree on. But if you are a typical middle class family in the Nigeria of today, where people are seeing, that they say there's a difference between this one and this one, where people are seeing that, and then both of you are working, you have bills to pay, you have rent, you have vehicle maintenance, you have household stuff, you have children's school fees, you have projects, you have families, then you have to send subsistence and stuff like that. And then you're saying that only one person should take care of that because he's the man, or a man refuses to work because the woman is earning more. I had a show on Sunday where we spoke about that, why men run away when women are earning more and stuff like that. You see, so that's an imbalance. That shows that the fundamental understanding of what marriage should be and the level of selflessness and sharing and vulnerability that should be in it, it shows that understanding is missing. So please, all of you hearing the sound of my voice right now, take note. All right. You want to get married to somebody, you want to ask yourself, am I willing to be financially vulnerable with this person? Am I willing to share all that I have? A lot of people recite it during the taking of oaths, but they don't really mean it. Because the moment you walk out of there, I hear couples saying a number of times, don't touch my car. It is my house. And I'm like, okay, which one is my house? This is you and your wife. It is your house, both of you. Okay, so that was just a necessary deviation. I thought to put that out there. All right. So let's go back to the legal conversation. Okay, do you want to add anything to that, by the way?
No, I completely agree. That's
Okay.
what it ought to be, but that's not
Yeah.
what it is right now.
Yeah,
That's
and
the
that's a
reality.
concern. People need to understand what is meant to be. Okay, because to a large extent, your information can shape your own belief system. The reason many people have faulty belief systems is because of the information they've been fed, the
Yes,
information they
absolutely.
grew up around. Yeah, upbringing, environments, and
Experience,
stuff
yeah,
like that.
experience, environment,
Experiences.
information, exposure, yes.
Yeah. You
For
see,
people
so
that
with
for
new
people that come
information,
from a home where there was a joint account, where
yeah,
everybody was on, everybody's hands was on deck for every project.
yeah,
They can't relate to my money, your money. They probably just still have that sense of together. For
togetherness,
those
yeah,
their mothers or their fathers did not particularly have a fantastic experience after trying to make the funds together. Maybe because one person betrayed
yeah,
the trust of the other person. It's
yeah.
really a tall order to ask for that when they finally get married.
Actually, it is.
It is because I mean,
It
from their own
is.
experience, you can't be a mumu. Why would you be? Why? How can you give all your money to? So you have issues where
Yeah,
some women give all their salaries to their husbands. At least I've heard of
yeah.
that. Yes. So
I've heard of that. Yeah,
so there is a thin line between all of that and financial abuse. because one person
Mm.
take it for granted. One person
Oh
can't take it
yes.
for granted. And I keep
Oh
saying it.
yes.
If I was in a marriage where my husband told me, "Oh, I think you should just sit down at home." Maybe initially I might be like, no, I like to hustle my own money. I like to, at some point I'll be like, say this, I'll take this offer. Who doesn't like enjoyment? Sit down at home and watching Netflix and be cooking. What do you want to eat? Okay, no problem. I mean, who doesn't like that? That's be in traffic and be hustling and be meeting deadlines. All I know is
Yeah,
that
and can we find
and
attached?
then I'll be saving the next Netflix movie I want to watch a big. Who doesn't like to enjoy their life?
Interesting.
I'm probably be praying every morning on NSPPD for my family. I mean, why not? If not?
Yeah, 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 I mean, you
Why
can do
not?
that
If
as a
not?
full-time work.
That's my duty. So much.
Yeah,
But that's not the
yeah,
current economic reality of Nigeria. You can't really. I mean,
true.
no. I don't know the percentage of families that just rely on one income now. They still exist, but they're
Yeah,
really, really slim.
yeah.
Is a population that rely
Mm-hmm.
on one income in their homes.
Yeah, true. So true. Ah, man, this matter is not as if some people listen to all these things you're saying, they will put feelings somewhere first and see wait, so let us consider reality. Anyway, um, so typically, is there like an average number of weeks, months, years that it takes for a typical divorce filing to go through? Is there like an average duration? And then in Nigeria, is there like an average cost? Okay, people always say that it's expensive, or some say forget, it's very easy, just like this, you know. So what can you say? Duration, cost?
Okay, duration. So the average duration will be say 1 year. It could be longer. So where it is contested, depending on what the contest is and who is contesting and what they're contesting on, it could go as far
Okay,
as 2 years or more. Again, depending on
okay.
location. The shortest divorce I have witnessed, I think it was 3 months. So again, it depends
Hmm.
on location.
Location,
It
very
depends
key, yeah.
on if it is being contested. So where the parties are, the next party is not even showing up, is not coming, is not like doesn't give two flying donuts about being in court. It can be a
Yeah,
moving train.
yeah.
Again, depending on the state where it is being instituted. Bearing in mind that no matter, so if you're married in Nigeria, you can institute a divorce proceeding anywhere in Nigeria. It doesn't have to be the state you're married.
Okay,
So you get married in
okay,
Lagos, you can do a dissolution of marriage in another state. So far as in Nigeria, and then
okay.
for the cost, so the cost would be dependent on a lot of things. When it is when it is going to be contested, your lawyer will naturally charge higher because there's going to be a lot of back and forth, a lot of filing of documents, a lot of sitting down and taking
Okay.
notes that they have to help you to buttress your points. So I mean, his professional expert
Hmm.
or he or her professional expertise will have to come to play in such instances. And cost again, in respect to cost, location matters. So if you have your lawyer leave Lagos to go to other states, bear in mind they're going
Hmm.
to have to pay for
Of course.
transportation to and fro,
Oh
accommodation,
yeah.
likely. What again determines the age of the lawyer, the experience of the lawyer determines the cost as well.
Okay. The
When you meet
cost.
an
Yeah.
assailant to handle your case, I mean, you're talking
Ah.
millions. Yes,
You
millions.
have you have senior money to
They
call
have
you
paid,
senior.
yeah, they have exactly. You have to have senior money to get a senior advocate. So, and then the older the lawyer, so some lawyers are 30 years at the bar. They're not senior advocates, but they know their stuff. Um,
Yeah.
some lawyers are even lower than 30 years, but all they've done is family matters. So they're family experts. So again,
Okay.
it will depend on the expertise of the lawyer, the location, contested or not contested, age or ranking of that lawyer. If you go and get for instance, a Femi Falana for your divorce, of course you know that
Hmm.
the money should be,
Hmm.
you
The
know,
money should be long.
yeah,
Hmm.
exactly. So again,
Hmm.
cost is not, so we can't say, oh, everybody charges this. No, it
Okay.
varies on different,
And all of these
yes, on all of these
variables. Yeah.
factors. Yes, on all of these
Hmm.
factors. The experience, location, the nature of the case. So some cases will drag for so long because one person is saying, I'm not going to divorce you no matter whatever you do. I'm not interested in ending this marriage. What do you, I mean, they're going to be dragging you. You're going to be going back and forth in court. So,
Yeah.
so again, it all depends, but bear in mind that it is not cheap. So even if you go to a village in Osun State, don't think that the lawyer is going to charge you. I don't know, but I don't think that lawyer will charge you 50,000 or 70,000.
Yeah.
He's not, he or she
Yeah.
will not
True.
do that.
True. True. So I've heard of an instance. Sorry. Okay. Go ahead, please.
So because sometimes at the initial stage it seems like it's uncontested, and then
Okay.
going in it's almost like a surgery. So you say, oh, okay, they just want to go and get fibroid out, and then they go in and they see cancer. You understand? So I mean,
Right.
they open the body and then they want to get fibroid, and they're like, you is more than what we thought. So it happens. So for
Wow.
lawyers as well, you
Hmm.
go in saying, oh, it's uncontested. Do you think your spouse will contest? Ah, no, 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 no. He or she's very, very okay with it. And then you start the process, and the person like, I'll show you Shaggy. Ah, no problem now. You pay Shaggy money. So, you pay
Okay.
Shaggy money now. So again,
Yeah.
it all depends.
Okay. Thanks for that. That's you really outlined a number of those factors. Now, I'm saying this because people need to know, right? Um, I've heard people brag to me before, like, I was saying, I'll just get out. I just leave now, and I'm like, go and ask question. Yeah, go and ask this question you did not ask before you married. You will ask it now because you discover that man, you're entangled in something that is not so easy to get out of. All right, and then if you want to just move out and not go through the proper documentation, you discover that in some places it's actually a crime to have another marriage with somebody else when you have not annulled the first one. You
Absolutely.
see?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, and in Nigeria also it's a crime, right?
Yes,
Is
it
it
is.
crime
It
or
is.
is
It is.
it bad behavior? It's a crime and it's punishable.
It is, yes, punishable by being imprisoned. Yes, it is a crime. So
Oh wow.
I know that Lagos expunged that section of the law because there has really been no case where someone was charged for bigamy.
Oh,
Yes, so people don't really trigger that that
so
provision.
yeah, I
People
get
don't
it.
really
I get
trigger
it.
that provision and say, "Oh, yeah, arrest him. He has to go to prison for 7 years because
Yeah.
like, they are done
I
with
think
the
they
man."
just move on.
Yes, they've gone like
Just
whatever he
move
wants to do, let him do. Whatever she wants to do, let
on.
her.
Sort yourself out.
So
Yeah.
there's really nothing. So, but for other states, yes, it's still a criminal offense, and yes, people can get into prison for being married, for getting married while married. Yes.
Oh wow. Okay. Now my final question for today. I've heard of cases where a couple went separate ways legally, did the divorce, and later wanted to remarry or
Yes.
later remarry.
Yes.
Okay. In that case, is that former divorce going to be cancelled, or it will still be there, and then there will now be another marriage certificate? So there will be marriage certificate, divorce certificate, and marriage certificate again. Or so is there a way to just reopen the first one, or they
I
have to
know
do a
that
new
I know that there's something called
marriage?
institution of marriage. Have
What do
I
you call it,
experienced
sir?
one? Not yet.
What do you call it? What do you call it?
Restitution. Restitution.
Restitution, okay, of
Yes.
marriage. Okay.
Have I experienced it? No. Is it a possibility? Yes. So many times when that has happened, the natural thing that a couple would do would be to go back to the registry and get married. But most times they don't do traditional and they're okay because they know that
And they just move on.
it's easier to
Like
dissolve this one. And the person, oh no, I'm not really sure.
we've been
So
there
just in case
before.
her head is touching or his head is touching, we can just quickly go and return bride price and be okay.
We'll just stop
Let's
out.
not go through what we went
Yeah.
through before. Yes, so but
Yeah.
I know that in instances where that happens, people usually just do traditional and then they're fine. They don't want to go the route of getting to of going to court again and then sorry, marriage under the
Yeah.
act, going to the registry and then going to sign dotted lines. Some people just do traditional and then they're fine. And most
Okay.
times they're really
Um,
mature, so they don't really have that they don't have that extravagance in their blood of saying, oh, let's throw a party, let's go to church and sign the dotted lines. No. They're just like, let's just do something small. Let's just go to our parents' parlor
I
and
love
just
to
kneel
shout.
down and they'll bless us. Let Let's be very quiet about this time.
Let's be very quiet this time, man.
Very quiet. And
Okay.
also, they're ashamed of themselves now. Should be the fourth day, but the first day now. So they're ashamed of themselves. So they just come back and they're like, okay. Let's just mind our business and enter the house. So yes, that happens.
Okay, quietly. Okay.
Quietly.
There's this question that just came up also. Now, you see, in the West, people do this partner thing where you're not married to someone, you're just partners, and you just raise children together as partners.
Yes.
You know, is that recognized in Nigeria as
No,
a form of
absolutely
marriage?
no. So civil partnerships is
Okay.
recognized in the UK. I don't know about the United States, but I know that in the UK, civil partners are recognized, and in the event of the death of one of the civil partners, I think the other partner is entitled to maybe some property of the estate of that person. But in Nigeria,
Okay.
baby
Nothing like
mama
that.
is nothing like that. Only maybe
Oh,
under
you just called the
customs.
Nigerian name. Baby
Yes,
mama, baby
baby
papa.
mama, daddy, papa, baby daddy, whatever they call it. Sugar
Okay.
babies and cohabiting and civil
Yeah.
partnership is not recognized in Nigeria. Despite the fact that
Okay.
the Constitution does not consider any child a bastard. So
Okay.
no child is without a father or a mother. And
So
so,
whether they are together as a couple or not, the law
yes,
recognizes that this is
the
this
law
child's father and
recognizes
this is
that
this
that
child's
child has
mother.
a father and a mother. And so, in
Yeah.
instances where these issues come about, oh, I want full custody of my child, and then you can get a court order compelling this person to do a paternity test. I'll give an
Okay.
example. So, for instance, some people met on a dating site, hung out, and then eventually the relationship ended in producing a child. So a child came out of that relationship, yes. And so the guy says,
Okay.
"I'm sorry, I don't know you. I mean, I thought you use protection. So why are you coming to me? What does that mean? Like, are
You
you not
want you
supposed to
want
have
to
it?
you want to pin it on me. You want
Yes, you
to
want to pin it on me. Who the hell do you think you are? No problem."
Yeah.
And then the lady's like, "I need
Okay.
to travel with my child. And I
Oh
need a consent
wow.
letter from you because without a consent letter, she can be held for child abduction
Wow. For
by
your picking, oh.
immigration." Yes. And so
Hmm.
she needs a consent letter, and then she's meeting the guy, and then so this is even a real life case that is currently ongoing. And then
Okay.
she's saying, "You know what? I need a consent letter from you." And the guy's like, "I'm sorry, I don't know you. Who are you? What's your name?"
Wow.
And then it's seeming like so she can't get her child to be with her in the abroad. And then now push
That's a
comes to
serious one.
shove, and we have to get the court to compel him to do a DNA test because, okay, yes, the child is not yours, but this child is not a bastard. The child get papa, get
So
mama.
we need to
Mama
find the
has said,
father of the child.
"Yeah, na daddy, do paternity test." So the lady is not even asking for person in question now is not asking for any form of financial assistance. She just wants her child to be with her.
Okay. Okay. So it's
And
not like
so
she's saying you must marry me or you must be my
no.
husband.
She's not.
Just
No, no, she's
agree
not even.
that
No, just
you're the one who impregnated me with this child.
and then after that, the court will grant me full parental responsibility for this child. Let me carry my child and be going. And then you're
Okay.
just all over
Okay.
the place. Oh no. I don't know you. I know you. And then served you all notices possible to say, okay, please, you are being compelled. There's an order of the court saying compelling you to go and do a
Hmm.
DNA at the cost of the woman. So the woman says, "I'm going to bear the cost. Don't worry. I will take care of the money.
Yeah.
You just present yourself to the lab. I will pay.
Yeah.
Don't worry. I will pay
Mm-hmm.
under the supervision of social person from the Ministry of Youth and Women Affairs." And then again, all of this is because there's no marriage certificate. There is nothing holding them together. So
Yeah.
where do you now start from apart from this? So this is the only way to say, okay, yes, this child has a father, and the father says he's not interested. So I want to now be
Hmm.
interested in this child's life. So baby mama drama, cohabitation, civil partnerships are not recognized in Nigeria. The only way out of it is maybe culture. So if the culture of the man says, most cultures in Nigeria say that the father is the owner of a child. So
Hmm.
somewhere down the line, the child might wake up and say, I'm looking for my father. I want to see my father. They say, nah, papa get pikin. You understand? And then they'll start looking for the father. Yes,
Yeah.
that's culture, that's tradition. But legally, if the man dies or nothing goes to anybody, if the man never admitted that that child was his child, only in cases where
Yeah.
maybe they even do DNA. But when they did DNA, the man said his child is not, and they still did DNA. Well, the law cannot really, the hands of the law are tied. You're helping the law to tie its
Wow.
hands. So So
Wow.
there's
Wow.
no documentation to say that they're together.
Okay. So in that instance where maybe the court requires that this man does the DNA and he refuses to do the DNA, how is that lady going to travel with her child? Just
Okay,
saying.
so
Is there a bypass?
the next line of action will probably be to file for contempt of court. So the person in question now that is being compelled by the court to get a DNA test would need to be compelled by the court. So again, the person risks being arrested and put in prison for
Oh,
disobeying the
wow.
court. Yes. So after that, we expect that but people have coconut head. A lot of people have coconut head. People have coconut head.
Ah!
So, but I mean, so ideally that should shake him up and say, okay, let me just do it. She needs to do DNA test. But some people have coconut head. I'll repeat myself.
Yeah.
So,
And they will refuse
I mean, they'll refuse now, but
until
eventually,
they arrest them.
yes, until they arrest him and make sure that he gets the DNA test done. So that
Child.
happens. That happens. Just
Child.
because the woman needs this documentation to get her child out of the country to be with her. So yes.
Wow. Man, I can't thank you enough for this one. This has been
Pleasure, my pleasure.
rich. It's been a lot. Just before I close, because it's already our time, I thought I would even do this earlier to give room for any other person to just ask, because I notice people have just been listening, like, man, this is no time for no, it's not jamboree, like you're quiet, take notes. So if there's any question anyone wants to just put in the comments, please do us do that, because from my end, we're calling it a day. It's been a full day for my guests, and I mean, I'm glad she was still able to make it. All right. So anybody, any question there? If not, we're done with this for now. I'll encourage people to please go back, watch the videos. There are many things people overlook in the name of love, and the reason I'm out here is to help young people, especially. I was telling someone yesterday that there's a reason I chose to be a premarital coach. People say, the money is in the real marriage counseling when you're settling fights, when they are quarrel. I say no, I don't have that bandwidth. All right, they are not fit, not fit. No, I cannot fit. No, 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 no. So let me help the people that will use the
About
help
to,
before they get
yeah,
one.
yeah.
Yes, and I think that's where I want to really stay and pour out a lot of passion and knowledge and wisdom, for people who are. Look, I know some people will use it. Like you said, some people have coconut head, right? Some will hear, some not agree, right? But those ones, even if it's one or two that will agree, that's why you're doing this. All right, so that people can learn, apply their hearts to wisdom, and have a meaningful relationship that would lead to a successful marriage.
Mm-hmm.
All right, by all means. So thank you again and again. I'm so
Thank you for
grateful.
having me too. Thank you.
Yeah, we hope we'll be able to do this again some other time if we have more legal or family centered conversations. All right, thank you so much. All right, so from me, it's good night, everyone,
Good
or good
night.
afternoon, depending on where you are.